friends, just thought I'd share with you what I'm up to today. See this cabinet on my kitchen counter? It's kind of wet and gloomy out over here today, so that's the reason why I'm doing it inside. This is a little cabinet I've had in my bathroom for probably 12 years. I bought it many years ago in this little catalog called ABC Distributing. I don't even know if they're still in business. I hadn't seen one of those in years, but I used to buy lots of things from them, and it's not real wood. It's kind of a particle board. I probably paid about $15 for this little, you know, do-it-yourself furniture. But what I loved about it was that it was just a perfect little cabinet to house toilet tissue in the bathroom. It just sits in the corner, and you know, back in the early 2000s this was very popular, but you know, now that the chalk paint is in and the distressed look is in, this is just not doing anything for me anymore. And every time I go into the bathroom I think, yeah, I'm so sick of those flowers on that cabinet. What I'm going to do is I went and bought some chalk paint. Didn't buy the Ann Sloan because that's just, you know, way overpriced. And so I've seen some good reviews on this Waverly that they sell at Walmart. They sell it in the craft department at Walmart, and I wanted my cabinet to be kind of a gray antique color, so I bought silver lining. I also bought the clear wax, and then I also bought the antiquing wax. Now this is something that is optional. Some people don't like that kind of dark, you know, kind of dingy look on their furniture, but that's the look that I wanted. Now, since I'm going to be covering up all this toll painting, I needed to do something to kind of give the cabinet a little character. So I went to Hobby Lobby and bought some of these little wood pieces, and these are relatively inexpensive, but by the time I bought the paint and all the wood, I've spent $25. I bought this to go on the door, and I bought these little corner pieces. So these are like $2 each. But it really is going to add to the cabinet. And you know, I could go out and find another cabinet, but this is just too perfect size for what I need. And so that's the reason why I thought it was worth it to me. Plus I will get many more projects out of this paint, because it probably won't take, you know, a third of these bottles to do the project, and I can get a lot more projects out of this paint expense. And I also need a cloth. He goes, after I paint it, you know, you will need a cloth to wipe the wax off, and then I'm just going to apply the chalk paint with a sponge brush. Now what I need to do now is I'm just going to hot glue my little medallions where I want them to go. I'm just going to put the corners there, and so when I come back to you, I'll have my medallions hot glued, and I'll probably have it painted a couple times in the silver lining paint. Okay, before I do my silver lining paint, I want to go ahead and show you that I decided to put my corner pieces on the outside of the door, and then I just hot glued my big medallion on the center of the door. Just going to give it a little different look. I just thought by the time I got everything on the door, it just seemed to be too much. I like the look of that. So now I'm going to go ahead and paint it 2 coats of the silver lining. Now I've got 2 to 3 coats of the chalk paint on there. Now I was kind of surprised that in some places I felt like I needed to put a 3rd coat, but you know, when you start painting and it starts drying, you're not sure if you're looking at streaks like inside this door or if that's just part of the drying process. So it's one of those things where I think I've got it covered, but I just need to walk away and come back here in a little bit and see exactly what needs to be maybe retouched. Once I knew I had enough paint, I went ahead and just did a light coat inside just to kind of give it a little finished look. But I think I'm going to really love it once I get it antiqued on the front with those accents. But I was surprised that it took about half of this little bottle of paint, but I was painting over some pretty bold colored flowers and things. Now if I was painting just a, you know, raw wood, I don't think it would take that much, because I've always heard that chalk paint a little goes a long way. But I do know that the wax is where I'm going to have my most surplus product left, and so my next projects I'll only have to maybe just buy the color paint, and I'll already have my waxes already bought, so that's a good thing. So far so good, and just want to show you. And so now I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll be ready for the clear coat. Okay, it is the next morning, and after I touched up a few spots and it completely dried, I'm very pleased with the coverage. And like I said before, it did take about 3 coats by the time it was all done, and it may be the fact that what I had to cover up and the quality of this chalk paint. This is on the lower end, but I am pleased with it. And so now I could just put a thin coat of this clear wax on there, buff it out tomorrow, and be done with it, but that's not the look I'm going for. So what I'm going to do now is just take a thin take a sponge brush and do a thin coat of the clear wax, and then I'll finish it up this afternoon. Okay, it's been a couple hours and my clear wax has dried, and it does give a waxy feel to the cabinet to where, you know, I think that this dark wax will be able to rub pretty smoothly. Now what I did is I took 2 tablespoons of the antique and 2 tablespoons of the clear. Let me just show you what this looks like. It does say wax, and it says antique, water-based, and then the clear wax I was using. And I may have mixed up way too much. I have no idea. I just know that I've read several things that said that it does better if you will dilute it with, and this is probably way more than I need. And the good thing is if I do, I'll just pour it back into my antique container. But it just kind of dilutes it a little bit, and it makes it even more workable. I have 2 pieces of old t-shirt. One I'm going to use to apply the antique wax, and one that I'll use in a few hours to do the final buffing. Okay, not sure if you can see it or not, but I do have one side of this with the stuff rubbed on there. I just dabbed my t-shirt in there and just went in circular motions. It almost looks like I'm just smearing mud or chocolate onto the piece. But I'm just going in circular motions all over the cabinet. It's kind of hard for me to hold it and do it at the same time, so I'm just going to do these circular motions all over the cabinet, and then I'll show you when I get done. It is starting to look antique looking. I'm not exactly sure if I'm doing it right or not, but I did notice I had one little spot here on my door that was from the original, so I don't know if I'm rubbing too hard or the wax needs to sit up and cure or exactly what, but I am getting the look I want to look. And the good thing is, even if it does become kind of chippy, this is supposed to look, you know, very imperfect and just kind of spotty and stuff like that. So that's the kind of aged look I was looking for. So I'm just going to keep rubbing and wiping. Okay, I have rubbed and rubbed off as much as I think I'm going to. It looks very much like I wanted it to look. And so I'm a little concerned about this spot right here that, look at my hands. The more I rubbed, that little spot's getting a little bigger. So I don't know, that may be something I can go back and kind of touch up later with some, just do the process all over again in that spot. But so far so good. You know, I'm just like on the edges, I'm kind of rubbing the dark stuff and wiping it off, you know, just kind of in some of the, you know, places that it would look more distressed or aged. So I think I'm just going to leave it alone right now, and I'm going to let it dry, and then I will put it in my bathroom so that you can see it. But this is pretty much it. This is what the antique looks like. I'm going to let it dry overnight and put it in my bathroom in the morning. Okay, it is the 3rd morning, and I put my cabinet in my bathroom. I'm going to call it done. It's been 24 hours, and I let the antique wax dry, and so there's no gummy or waxy feeling to it. And I did buff it with a t-shirt cloth like it said, but I really couldn't tell where I had buffed and where I hadn't. This is exactly what I was looking for. I love the little embellishments, and since this is such a close proximity, the little wood embellishments do show up a little better than they did when I was in the kitchen. It's certainly a cute little cabinet, perfect for my toilet paper. I spent a little more money than I wanted to, but you know, sometimes that's just what you have to do to get what you want. This is my experience with Waverly chalk paint and wax. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.